Hello, and welcome to the Emotionless podcast, a mental health podcast. My name is Logan, and I will be your host. So this is part 3 to a part 1 and 2, called Title IX, about a situation I went through in college that really drastically affected my mental health. So the first part of the series, I'm going to kind of explain what happened, and then the final parts, I'm going to explain how it affected my mental health, and then I'm going to give you the results of ultimately what happened in the case. So I was telling you guys about, in the previous episode, about kind of what was the things I was in trouble for and what happens in the case. And kind of my experience with counseling. And so we're moving on, things are going pretty good. And then I get called back into the Title IX coordinator's office. And she goes, "You have broken the no contact contract. You are in trouble." And I go, "What do you mean? I haven't talked to this girl. I haven't texted her. I haven't done anything." And she tells me that the complainant, the girl in this case, has sent her screenshots that I was viewing her Snapchat story. And I go, "I don't even have her on Snapchat. I don't know what you're talking about." Well, it turns out that in a post that came up in my memories that she was tagged in, there was a little picture of her in the corner, so I clicked on it, and that opened her story, so I closed it because I didn't care. And apparently she had seen that, and that had counted as breaking the no-contact contract. Although I explained this to her, and while I was still in trouble, they understood, and they didn't really do much, except ratify the contract. So that was like the biggest incident I had of breaking the contract, so to speak. So let's move on. Let's jump about a month forward. April 16th, 2021 was the day of my interview. Now, let's start with my last class of the day, which was career development, I think it was called. I had a teacher, bless her heart, she's so sweet, but good God, she can be a total fucking asshole too. I emailed her before the class, and I told her that I had to go to a Title IX interview, and my counselor wanted to speak with me beforehand, kind of just to get my thoughts in a order, and I needed to leave class early, and she told me no. Now, here's the thing. I was going to leave class early, whether she liked it or not. This wasn't me asking, this was me telling you. I'm leaving class early. And so she was like, "This is so inappropriate. You can't email me about these things. This is more than I need to know." All I told her was Title IX. That was it. Like, it's not like I told her what the case was and who the girl was and all this garbage. I just told her that I was in a Title IX interview and I needed to leave early. She tells me that class is probably going to end early anyways and that I just don't need to worry about it. But, her email will always stick with me as very rude and aggressive. And again, that just speaks to a lot of the staff and faculty at this college. They're very rude and very ignorant. A lot of them. And they don't know how to deal with kids with learning disabilities. And most of them should not have a job there. But I will get into that in another episode. I know I say that a lot, but it's true. So I go to the counseling center because I end up having my meeting in the counseling center. And I sit down in my counselor's office and she's like, "All right, you can do this. You got this. I know you're nervous. You're going to be okay." And I'm like, "Yep, I know I am. I'm scared. I'm terrified. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here." And she's like, "I know you don't want to do this. I know you don't want to be here. This is a great learning experience. And this is never going to happen again, hopefully." And 8 months later, still nothing has happened. So she kind of gets me set up in the room. She gives me some words of encouragement. She's like, "Tell the truth, be honest, don't volunteer information that's not needed, blah, bitty, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "All right, we can do this." So I sit down, I log on to the case, and my respondent, or my advisor in the case, who happens to be an old high school teacher, was also on. She's not really allowed to talk or give information, but she is allowed to stop the meeting and be like, "Hey, I need to speak with my client, with my charge. I don't know what you want to call it. So we did have one big stop where she's like, dude, get your shit together. This is something I love about this person in my life. She's been a mentor in my life for 5-6 years now, and I absolutely could not have made it without her. I know that sounds cheesy, but it's the truth. Anyways, so I am, having the meeting. I'm telling all these things. She's asking me, how would you react if I said that from this point on, I'm going to refer to the girl as the complainant, just so you guys are wondering. She goes, how would you react if I told you the complainant said you were under the influence? And I literally told her, word for word, I would laugh. I would actually laugh. Like, I would bust out in tears. Because I've never drinking a sip of alcohol on this campus before. I've vaped, but not nearly enough to distort my perception of right and wrong, or distort my perception of okay and not okay, or enough to ignore consent from someone. And she's like, okay. And she's like, how would you react if I told you that the complainant said you touched her vagina? And again, literally, and this was a video chat, and I literally looked over at my complainant, I'm like, or at my advisor, I'm like, are you fucking seeing this shit? Are you fucking seeing this shit right now? Are you fucking seeing this shit right now? Are you fucking seeing this shit right now? Are you fucking seeing this? I didn't say that, but that was kind of the look I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you for real right now? Is she actually asking me? Did she actually say this shit? And this isn't meant towards the investigator. This is meant towards because the investigator had already interviewed the complainant before this. So I was like, are you serious that she's actually asking this? Now, turns out a lot of the questions she was asking was just trying to figure out how I'd react, trying to press information out of me, which is just an interviewing tactic. And I don't know. I think it was funny. I think I gave her a lot of information. One of the biggest pieces of information that I gave her was about the antics that occurred within our friend group. I told her that all the time that the complainant would pants our other friends and would touch their private parts and would smack their butts and would, grind up against them, and, that we were just a very touchy-feely. I actually have my interview right here. And I said, and I quote, Logan describes his relationship with the complainant as a very loosey-goosey, touchy-feely relationship. He notes that they have no strict boundaries with each other and are consistently slapping each other, touching each other, and hitting each other. He said that his only rule was no one could say a particular homosexual slur around him, but other than that, everything was pretty fair game. And that's kind of how I felt. I kind of felt there was no real rules, stipulations in our friendship. There was no, you can't do this, you can't do that. I mean, obviously, there's certain, you can't say the N-word, you can't, kill each other, you can't slit each other's throat, blah, 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 blah. But there was no, oh, you can't call me a bitch. I think her only thing was, you can't call me a cunt. But other than that, not really. So, I'm kind of upset at this point because she keeps asking me all these things, and then in my emotional head, I'm not realizing, oh, she's just trying to press information out of me. These aren't things that the complainant actually had said. But again, I digress. So she moves on and continues the interview, and I tell her all that, and she goes, wait, really? So the complainant would pants these people and would touch their private parts and would stroke them. I'm like, correct. She actually got one of them hard one time. She actually got them to have an erection. And so that was kind of funny. I also have another part of my interview here that I want to read for you guys. So actually, I'll get into that in another episode. I'm going to move past that for now. So, we finish our interview, and so we have a break because My advisor wants to talk to me. She goes, "Stop giving information out that's not necessary." And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. You know, stop giving information out that we don't need to give out. I'm like, okay, I'll stop. I will move on. And so the next part, I think, is kind of the most satisfying part, in my opinion. In the next episode we'll get in, which is the interviews with the friends, because I think they're really funny. Alright, so this is going to be the end of this episode. Please join me for the next episode, where I'll give you even more information, juicy tea, and details. Thank you.